The Small Business Show, episode number 125 for Wednesday, June 8th, 2017. Greetings, folks, and welcome to the Small Business Show here at businessshow.co, the show by, for, and about small business owners here in Durham, New Hampshire. I'm Dave Hamilton.
And in the San Francisco Bay Area, I'm Shannon Jean. How are you, man?
I am actually doing well this week. Kind of a crazy week, but they all are. We got the holiday next week, which is going to screw something up, but it'll be fun. So that's good. It's nice to have summer and all of that. So
yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, we're getting out of here for a few days as well, so it'll be nice. But before we can play, we got to take care of business. And hey, so we have a couple of guests today, and we're here. We're going to talk about virtual reality and augmented reality. You hear these words.
Fun.
They're kind of thrown around a lot. You hear about a lot these days. Much of it sounds like, it will be great someday. But there are small businesses out there that are already taking advantage of and creating businesses around it today. So joining us on the show is Chase Dittmer and TJ Deshaw, co-founders of GrowPo VR Studios and GovRed. So welcome to the show, guys.
It's great to be here.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So Give us some background. You guys sound like serial entrepreneurs. Every time I talk to you, we've got a new business popping up, which sounds kind of familiar. Tell us about your background and how you got started working together.
Yeah, so like a lot of entrepreneurs, I've been not self-employed, but I guess you could say self-employed. I've been running my own businesses since I was like 14, 15. I started with I had a t-shirt company, and then I used to sell like snapback hats before, I'd take the old vintage ones before they became popular again, and I would just start reselling those. I had a few e-commerce sites all while I was in high school. And then my senior year of high school, I actually had this iPhone repair business. I called it iJeweler. I was doing complete customizations and stuff. And this is back when I think it was the iPhone 4S was out. So it was pretty easy to do the repairs and stuff. So I made quite a bit of money while I was in high school. And then I used that to pretty much pay for my college.
Nice.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's very cool. So obviously, GrowPo's not your first company. What was the impetus for getting started in the VR business?
Yeah, so it was about when was it?
May 2016, I want to say.
Yeah, when the Vive was the consumer version of the Vive was first released, and my friend, so TJ here we've been friends for years, and he's always been building PCs. He's how many PCs have you built and sold?
Just throwing a number out there, maybe like 50 or 60 or something.
50, awesome. 60 gaming computers that he's been selling, and he's always had the best hardware. And so when the Vive came out, he had the computer capable of doing it, and we actually did a demo and we tried it, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing I've ever tried in my life. We went and bought a Vive right on the spot, and then June 1st, we opened a virtual reality studio, like a virtual reality arcade in Battle Creek, Michigan. And so, nice. We jumped right into it from the beginning. And within the first 2 or 3 months, I think we did 500 demos.
Wow. That's cool, man. That's supply nice demand for that. So that space is other people can come, strap on the goggles, connect to your machines and experience VR, that kind of thing, or create it.
Yeah, they can do that. And then we were just working on some other projects. So that's why we kind of called it a studio, but it was more along the lines of an arcade. And we were just doing a lot of demos. The first one's in Southwest Michigan to have a virtual reality arcade.
That's great. That's very cool. So I see a lot of information up on the website. Who's your target customer?
Well, right now, so GovReds are our primary focus right now. So the GrowPo VR is kind of just the umbrella.
Yeah, definitely. Almost testing the waters kind of.
Sure.
And then we pivoted with GovRed, we're really focusing right now on military and then law enforcement. And we're designing training simulators for them.
Now that's interesting. So talk a little bit about more about that target customer, military, police, or government agencies, and how are they using virtual reality in their day-to-day stuff?
Yeah. So when we had the arcade open, we had a lot of how many police officers came through? 50?
Oh, wow.
Maybe. Yeah, so we had a lot of police officers come and do demos, and they were just talking, and we were just asking them questions like how's what do you guys use for training right now? What are your current options? What are the problems that you guys see with the training simulator or with like the training sessions? And they just said that they don't have a lot of once they leave the police academy, they don't do a lot of like combat or like live shooter training. And so then then like a light bulb went on in our head, like, oh man, this is a perfect opportunity for this.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's great. It's, you're pivoting and looking at, what feedback your customers are giving you and coming up with something to serve them.
And finding a way to capitalize on tax dollars. I mean,
that's right. It's a big, I would imagine a very big market for that service.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. So okay, let's talk about the arcade for a minute, and then I want to get into GovRed. How did you guys market it? I mean, what worked best for you to get the name out and have people start coming into the shop?
Yeah, so we used Facebook, and we did like some Facebook targeted ads and stuff. So
mostly social media.
Yeah, mostly social media, but word of mouth for that just blew up insane. Because I mean, a lot of these people have never tried virtual reality, so it was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing I've ever tried in my life. I'm gonna go tell 10 friends about it.
Yeah,
right.
And then we started, and we would always record everybody that would come in, we would record them, get their demo and put it on YouTube. So then they shared it on their own social media channels. And it was just a lot of just like viral, like social, just normal doing it through their social networks.
That's cool. Well, it sounds like one of the big benefits or, part of the secret sauce, if you will, was reacting quickly and getting, not talking about it for 6-8 months, but actually jumping in and getting the site up and running.
Yeah, like with the arcade, I mean, we never created a business plan up front. That as soon as we went and got an office space, and then we just kind of figured everything out after that, and then we had the first day we had it open, we had customers in there.
Yeah. That's the way
sweet.
to do it. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
If you can figure everything out as you go along, I think,
I've always said business plans are best when written in arrears, like in retrospect. Like, okay, we tried a bunch of things. That failed, that failed, that failed. This succeeded. Awesome. There's our business. Let's go. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And I mean, it changes every day. So you really have to adapt. And I mean, like we had to produce a business to get in the accelerator right now. We had to produce a business plan for GovRed, and that's changed a couple of times since we've been here.
Of course.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. You mentioned before we started, recording the show that you're at a business accelerator event right now. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So last week on Monday was our first day. We're at the Iowa Startup Accelerator. It's in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And so we're in their accelerator right now. It was a 12-month commitment, but they have this 30,000 square foot building with a bunch of resources. And it's been really helpful. We've been learning a lot. They have like a VR like studio here, so we're able to take advantage of that. And they have like a prototyping lab and stuff. So yeah, we're making some pretty cool stuff for VR here.
Yeah, that's killer. And do they provide like other support services and things for small businesses to
legal support, marketing support, design support, engineering stuff. They help us with our presentation and stuff. So yeah, it's a great resource.
That's pretty cool.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. So I mean, you don't have to go through the details, but I'm assuming you give some level of equity to them. Is that how this works, or is?
Yeah, it's pretty minuscule. It's not much, and like we had to create a new business to come to this, so we like incorporated in Delaware and stuff using the Clerky, which it's a good resource. I don't know. I have no affiliation with them, so I'm not trying to plug them, but great resource. And I mean, it was very helpful. I was able to get all like the legal documents in a couple hours.
Wow. And it's called Clerky, CLERKY. Is that right?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's a Y Combinator backed startup.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, some competition for LegalZoom and those guys. That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool. So you fill all this out, or you did an application, and they go through and contact you and say, "Here's what you guys got to do to come in and participate." Is that how it works?
Yeah, we were one of 3 teams that got invited. And the crazy thing is, so I had like the application date for this accelerator like in my calendar, but I had it wrong, I guess. And so then I checked like that week, and it was like, "Oh, this applica's due tomorrow."
It was that night.
It was that night. Yeah, it was that night. So I've stayed up all night, and I submitted like right at 12. But yeah, luckily, I guess we did pretty well on the application. Then we had like an interview with them. So
sure. Sure.
That's really cool. God. That's awesome. So, moving fast is a huge benefit, but you can also, kind of run over things and maybe forget things sometimes, or, make mistakes and that kind of thing. And we're big fans of mistakes on this show because they teach us all, so much in setting all this up and getting things going really quick. Is there one mistake that you think you guys made that you learned a lot from of that's going to help you moving forward?
I guess the biggest thing the biggest mistake that we made is making assumptions about your customers before you actually talk to them. Mm-hmm. So you can design a product, but if you're not actually talking to customers, there's not really you're building a product for somebody that doesn't really have a problem, or they might not actually use this. So it's better to talk to the customers and then design your product around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's brilliant, man. I mean, we have an upcoming show. We're going to talk about, reasons that businesses fail. And that is absolutely right up there. Because
making a product for no one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, or even for yourself, if you think it's so awesome and you want to do this thing, even though that's great, and you want to make a product that's going to please you, or a service that's going to please you as well, you have to know if people are going to, sign up for the thing and use it. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we learned. They helped us with that here, because when we got here, we wanted to go. I have 2 engineers on my team, so we wanted to go right into the engineering and start actually physically creating a product. And they're like, no, you guys have to hold up a little bit. And so then they've had us doing these customer discovery interviews and stuff. And we've learned a lot. Our business, like I said earlier, our business has changed a few times since we've been here, and it's only been a week and a half.
Yeah, that's cool. And how long are you guys going to be as part of the accelerator?
Well, we have launch day on the December 7th. Wow. So that's the day that we're going to be unveiling what we've been working on. But that's cool. Anywhere between 6 and 12 months.
That's great.
Wow.
No, you're going to be completely different business owners by the time you get through that. I'm sure that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, even I would quote unquote call a year together. We've just had so many different adaptions we've had to make, and so many different changes to the company. From this perspective, I got to imagine, or it makes sense, maybe a better way to put it, why so many small businesses fail. They go straight in spearheading, their idea, and they don't adapt at all.
Yeah.
And to an extent, that's not going to get you anywhere.
Sure. Right. Yeah. And that's such a great thing with an accelerator like that, or any kind of mentorship programs. You get, you guys are jacked up. You're excited. You're jamming through. And that's a huge part of it, having that energy to carry forward your idea and be passionate about it. But also having someone say, oh, hang on, do this first and then that. So, I think you guys are really going to benefit from that.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too, because with all the mentors and their experience, we kind of joke around about, or at least they do, around, if a mentor, you give them your spiel, your pitch, whatever, and they go through it and they only give positive feedback, it's almost kind of a bad thing, because then they don't see anything wrong, or they're just being too nice.
Yeah, we have to tell the people to be mean to us, because they want to be nice, they want to be supportive. But yeah, we usually ask them, we'll go into a mentor meeting and be like, tell us why you don't think this will work. Tell us what you think we're doing wrong. We learn so much more from that negative feedback than we gain anything from positive feedback.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Right? You need somebody to pick holes, tear apart your idea and your concept, so you can learn from it. So
exactly,
that's cool. That's very cool. So, what do you think is the biggest obstacle to your success? And so, are you really focused on GovRed right now? That's really kind of where your
that's what
energies are. Okay,
that's where our focus is right now. Yeah.
So what do you think that your biggest obstacle in that space is? And maybe you haven't even found it yet, but at this point, what do you think the biggest obstacle is, and how are you going to overcome it?
I think sometimes our age is, some might be overlooked, but to other people, you got 2 22-year-old, quote unquote kids coming in with this idea and whatnot. And it's hard to say, here's a large sum of money, we're just going to trust you.
It's hard to give a good big contract to a fast talking 22-year-old. But
so you guys probably talk a lot faster than people that live in Iowa. Is that right? I mean, you seem you talk way faster than most people that I grew up around, and I grew up near New York. So yeah,
we're a little fast paced. We got to slow down a lot of times too.
Yeah.
And usually it's like the first time we'll meet someone, we'll spend the first 15 minutes just doing a complete dump of just knowledge, because I mean we're excited and we know so much about this, and then especially with the virtual reality stuff, we're going into these meetings with people who have a hard time working Microsoft Word, and then we're dumping all this terminology and stuff on them that it's sometimes we just need to slow down.
But don't slow down in general. I mean, you take that energy and let it keep fueling you along. I mean, that's huge.
Oh yeah. So how do you overcome that? I mean, how do you get past that point where you're right? And I've been there. And as a young man, I've got a bunch of companies that I've started, and when I was younger, my problem was always hiring people that were much older than me and figuring out a way to get them to do what I asked them to do. But what's your plan for, how do you bring those people? Because they're valuable, like you said. And how do you get them onto your side?
Well, with VR, it's kind of easy. I mean, we just put the headset on them and let that do the talking for us.
We always kind of joke around, if we can just get them to try out the headset does talking for us.
Yeah, literally, we just have to get in the door. We put them in the headset. We do have them go through this training, and I have yet to see someone take off one of these virtual reality headsets without the biggest smile on their face.
Nice. So letting the product really sell is kind of your way you overcoming that, right?
Exactly.
That makes sense. That's very cool. That's really good. So, tell me, TJ, your background's in hardware, and Chase, yours is you're done lots of different business things. And is this the first company that you guys have worked together on?
So we've known each other since we were in fourth grade. So we've been friends since we were really little. And I mean, our last names, his is Dishon, mine's Dittmer. There's only even in elementary school and stuff, every time you go alphabetical order, we were standing right next to each other.
Yeah, we always had our lockers together in middle school and high school because, you have DIS and Dit.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Everything just kind of fell into place.
And so we've been talking about building a business together since we were little. And then with the VR, it was okay, this is great. And then that's how we went from there.
That's really cool. I love it. So, did you guys, and I don't know where you're at, did you guys move together out to that area to be part of the accelerator?
Yeah. So I went to school in West Palm Beach, Florida, and then he went to Michigan State. So then once we got accepted in the accelerator, we kind of just dropped what we were doing, and then we were all right, we're moving out to Iowa. It was what was it, 2-week notice?
Yeah, it was 2.5 week notice. So it was a bumpy ride to get here, but
sure.
Having said that, it's definitely worth it. And, now we have a house we live in together.
Nice.
So even when we come back from work, we can always discuss our ideas and brainstorm, which is pretty much happens every day, honestly.
Yeah, of course. Right. Well, and that's the beauty of being able to just kind of immerse yourselves in this and that it's not impossible when you're older, but it's way easier when you don't have all kinds of things that you've collected throughout your life, like family and those types of things.
Oh yeah. I can't even imagine being a, married man with 2 kids or something.
Right.
It would have just been it was already difficult enough for me to drop everything and move out here in the first place.
Exactly.
Let alone if I had a bunch of kids attached to my hip.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And so I'm curious about that though. You guys obviously have plenty of energy and you're just going to race forward no matter what anybody says. But I am curious.
Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It was meant as an observation, neither a compliment or a dig. It's just who you are.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah, no, it is a compliment. Yeah. But I'm curious what your families what do your parents think about this, or your extended family, whoever your sort of support structures are that have been through, been in your lives with you? Do they think you're totally freaking nuts, or are they do they think you're nuts and it's cool?
I would definitely say more of the second one. Any parent's going to be a little bit skeptical about, some startup accelerator says, hey, move 7 hours away and, drop everything and, start this company, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I would say, especially because I know Chase's parents too, we're both of our parents just really, really, really supportive.
That's awesome.
And have always, because we've been, again, working at this for about a year. living at home or, living just outside of home or something like that. So they've always been kind of in the same picture. They just it was something when we said, hey, we're leaving. Just cool. 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
yeah.
great.
Right. This wasn't something where you had 6 months to sort of massage the message. It was Yep. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great is, one of the part I love about doing the show is that we get different kinds of people on the show. We have real experienced people that come on and give their advice and this kind of thing based on, years and years and years of experience. And then we have people, guys like yourself that are in the experience, that are experiencing it right now. And it's great to see both sides of that. I have one question too. So looking at VR, and it's well, I don't want to say it's on the fringe or it's kind of, I guess it's a niche, is it something that, other small business owners should be thinking about as a part of, marketing their services or their product, or something they could plan for the future? What do you guys think about that?
It really just comes down to like what industry they're in. I mean, if you have like a brick and mortar, like small business, say you have like an ice cream store, a cool thing that you could do for VR is like you could set up a Vive there. And I mean, you could bring in a bunch of people. You spend $2,000, $3,000 on like a VR headset, and then you have entertainment to bring in all these other customers, which can generate more revenue, especially if you're in like a small town in like middle America.
Sure.
But then as far as like it really just depends on like what industry you're in. Like these big businesses are taking advantage of it.
Yeah. And I could see, I used to, when I first got out of college, I was in the landscape construction architecture business. And, if I could, strap that, visor onto a potential customer and show them what their house and their, landscape could look like if they wrote me a big fat check, that would have been powerful.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't see the untapped potential that virtual reality has, beyond just necessarily education or entertainment, especially when you're going similar example to how you're going to show off landscaping.
Yep.
You can be an engineer anywhere, and you're trying to show your supervisor what you did. And instead of it being, a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional screen, you can put on that headset and literally walk around it. Just gives you kind of an idea and puts it in perspective, what things look like, the size of it, et cetera.
Yeah, that's great. And I love your idea too. Even if it's not related to the business you're in, even if you have, we had a question a couple weeks ago from a woman that owned an ice cream store that was, having a hard time competing, with some stuff and coming up with different ideas. And, you're saying, hey, just put one in as just for marketing, just to draw people into the store. I think it's a great idea. That's very cool. And
it's great for teamwork. So what's pretty cool, so now when we do meetings, if we do a meeting and the person's not physically here, we have that, and everybody that works with us has a Vive, so they'll get in their Vive and we'll do our meetings in like virtual reality, because I can sit with my virtual reality headset on. TJ could be 1,000 miles away at his computer, and then we both go in the virtual reality, and I can look on his computer in the VR, and so I can see what he's doing if we're programming something.
Yeah, it's like sitting next to each other in a room. And it's even cooler just because with software, the sky's the limit. So we just have in that VR room, we have a giant projector in the back, and I just hit a button, and all of a sudden, boom, our screen's up. So we're doing, and I got to imagine this will be something that comes up for any big businesses or corporations, is again for meetings.
Anybody working remotely.
It just makes life so much easier. Even now you see in big corporations, people doing video calls and all this other kind of stuff because their corporation might be in Japan, for example.
Sure.
But being able to do it in virtual reality is, again, just that whole nother leap forward of being able to explain something to someone.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. I suppose the biggest hurdle there is making sure everybody's got a computer that's got enough horsepower to actually make that experience work.
Definitely.
Because we're not quite, to me, that's the biggest, you got to get the headset, but your computer probably doesn't support this is the reality.
Yeah. And that's almost like the biggest, buy-in sort of, sure. That cost a good amount, no doubt. But, just this generation of graphics cards have been able to actually push VR without, costing just the graphics card $1,500 or something like that.
Right.
These consumer cards can do it without it being ludicrously expensive.
It's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Many computers sold today could do it. Yeah. So you're right. In the next couple of years, this could be a much easier sell, if you would.
Sure, right. And it's only going to get cheaper and cheaper.
Right.
Every generation gets more efficient, puts out more, can put out more frames. I think, and the biggest thing too is that even now the Vive headset is 90 frames per second. The resolution's all right. It could definitely be higher.
Sure.
But by pushing those limits even farther, which makes that immersion factor much, much better, it's only going to require more and more GPU horsepower.
Right. That's
true.
So it's going to be also just with anything, it's going to be cool to see what comes out in the future, and how much VR can evolve in just a year.
Yeah. So are you guys doing stuff with augmented reality as well, where you're still seeing the real world around you and interacting with digital objects? Are you have any plans for that?
So we have a HoloLens, and we have it sitting in a drawer. I mean, it's all right. It's just not that good.
I see. Yeah.
To me, it's probably what VR it's kind of like the HoloLens is to augmented reality is kind of like what VR is to like the Samsung Gear VR, the cell phone VR.
Yeah.
I see.
Which we almost kind of joke around and call the fake VR. It's just, when we tell,
it's more of a 360 viewer.
Yeah. We're going to be when we ask someone, have they tried VR, and they say that, we almost kind of chuckle. It's just like, you haven't experienced it,
Yeah. A cell phone can't put out the frames needed to give you that immersive experience. You're going to get motion sickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried the HoloLens, Shannon?
I have not. No, I have not. Yeah.
I was at a dinner at CES, and Robert Scoble was there, and he's crazy about VR and AR these days. And he was, there were only like 10 of us or something. So he kind of passed around his HoloLens that he was messing with. And it was like, oh, okay. I see.
It's kind of a letdown, especially for $5,000.
Yeah, that was it. And he even said, he's like, you guys aren't going to be happy. It took him, it probably took him 4 or 5 minutes to configure the thing and get it all right so that he could say, okay, put your head in, put this on your head, and then see the little gnome or whatever dancing on the table. It's like, oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. not quite there.
Wah. Yeah.
You can definitely put it on. And as someone who's, definitely a nerd like Chase and I, putting it on, we can definitely see the potential in it. It's just unfortunately with the software and the fact that it's not hooked up to a computer, it's running off its own CPU and graphics card, or whatever.
but that is a great model, right? I mean, once we can get the tech there, having a self-contained VR thing totally, or AR, whatever it's going to be, totally skips that, but my computer's not fast enough. Nope. Just get this. You can join our meetings. Doesn't even matter if you have a computer, right? Here you are.
That's right.
So, I do think that's the future. It's just like you said, the horsepower can't possibly be baked into that quite yet. Yeah.
Well, I think, and that was one of the big things about VR not taking off really till, the Oculus was moving around in 2015, and then 2016, the Vive came out, which really, really shook the world of VR. And again, a lot of that was held back. We had the tracking technology, or we had at least some really good tracking technology that would at least work to some kind of decent standard, not necessarily what the Vive can do, but enough that you could move around and be more than a 360 viewer. But again, that issue was kind of bottlenecked by the fact that the most high-end graphics card was subpar, and it still cost $1,000.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. Well, it's awesome. I love your enthusiasm, and you've got a great story, and I love hearing about your pivoting and adapting into new things, and getting into the accelerator. It's awesome. What's the best way for people to learn more about GovRed and to connect with you guys?
Well, right now our website, we're getting ready to launch like the second version of our GovRed website. But we have a form like on our website. If you want to just go to www.govred.com, it's GOVRED.com. There's you can put in your email address, and we'll send out like a newsletter when we drop the version 2 of our website.
Nice. I'm all signed up. I'm ready.
Cool.
That's cool. Well, you guys have been great to have on. We'd love for you to come back after you go through the accelerator and learn all that. Come back and talk to us and share your story, how things went. And I'm sure, you'll have pivoted even more and adapted, and you'll have a great product that you're out there selling.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. It'd be very cool. I know a lot of small business owners that are interested in, they are enticed by the concept of, that type of investment and that sort of thing. But there's always the hesitation. So you guys are living it. So you can come back and tell us how it did for you. Yeah.
Awesome. We plan to.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Thanks again. We appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. BusinessShow.co, folks, is where you can find us.